Hey there, it's Courtney from RuleBreakersClub.com, and in today's video I want to talk to launchers, launching people who want to launch products and services about the 5 biggest mistakes that I see all first-time launchers making, and people who maybe are making the same mistakes again and again. We want to stop these mistakes now. Pretty much that's what we're getting at. So here's the deal. I realize it is all the rage to launch digital products like e-courses and programs and kits and things like that. And that it can be very sexy and appealing to want to do that because you probably are sick of working with people one-on-one or don't like the idea of having to work with people one-on-one. The thing is, there's a lot of misconceptions about what it takes to actually have a successful launch. I broke one of my most recent launches down in a past blog post for Yay for Clients, and I will link to that at the blog post at RuleBreakersClub.com. But in today's video, I want to talk about really how to set realistic expectations for your launch and to go over these 5 mistakes so that you can stop making them and start feeling a lot better about the results that you are getting. The first mistake that I see a lot of first-time launchers making is that they're living in Fantasyland. I see people with very unrealistic expectations about how many people they can get to enroll in their programs. A normal conversion rate for any program is that about 1 to 2% of all the people in your audience on your email list, not on your Facebook page, on your email list, will enroll at any given point for a course. So if you look at the number of people on your list, multiply it by 0.01, that's kind of like the lowest that you'll probably get, and see how many people that is, multiply that by the price of your program, that's the revenue that you can expect from your launch. So those are realistic numbers. The Fantasyland numbers are things like, I want to make $100,000 and I have 1,000 people on my list right now. Well, you're going to need a very high priced program and the right people on your list to make that happen. So get realistic numbers, and I promise you, you're doing great with where you're at, and you're not sucking because you're not hitting huge 6-figure or 5-figure launches. You just need to do the work to get those numbers up. The second big mistake that I see a lot of first-time launchers making is way overcomplicating the strategy. I see people really overanalyzing how many emails should I send and to whom and what should I put in there, and trying to add all these fancy things like, well, what if I add this timer and this expiring thing and do this great big launch thing? And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. The first time you launch, every little thing that you do, even things you think you know how to do, are going to be 10 times more stressful. Keep it as simple as possible. If you are thinking about doing 3 webinars, why don't we take it down to 1 webinar? If you're thinking about having like 3 different types of list campaigns going on, let's see how we can bring it down to 1 campaign, 1 email sequence. Try to keep it as simple as possible, and it'll be way easier because your stress levels and your adrenaline are going to be outrageously high during your launch period. So keep that in mind, and that you're not going to be in the mindset that you're in right now when you're trying to release this item into the world that you've spent so much time working on. And that brings me to the third big mistake I see first-time launchers making, which is taking the results of your launch personally. Like, oh my God, my launch didn't work, so I'm a failure as a human being and I don't deserve love and success, and I should probably just go live like by myself on an island somewhere for the rest of my life. That's not what it means. When you don't have a launch go well, it's because there's any number of very easy to find and logical things that went wrong. There's maybe an email where you had a link that was missing, or your webinar you forgot to send the email the last minute to get people into your webinar, so they forgot that it was happening. There's any number of things that we could figure out. Maybe your sales page didn't convert highly and everything else was working. So don't scrap the entire project and start from scratch because it didn't work. What you need to do is identify what the problems were. Work with some other entrepreneurs, have them help you investigate what happened in your launch so that you can tweak it and make it better next time. Mistake number 4 that I see my first-time launchers making is doing everything at the last second. Those big wig entrepreneurs you see who are, the Marie Forleos, people like that, who are launching huge, enormous programs that you see everywhere, they are planning their launches literally years in advance. And even people who are having multi-six-figure launches, which is a lot smaller than some of those bigger launches, are planning launches like 5 to 8 and maybe a year in advance. So if you're thinking right now about launching a program next month, you have to know that you just do not have the runway to get huge numbers. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but you need to take the scale of everything down so that you can actually implement the strategies that you are going to put in place and you don't end up creating a huge mess for yourself. Finally, mistake number 5 that my first-time launchers are making is not rehearsing and or testing things in advance. So this means like not testing your technology, your email sequences, your links, your webinar technology, practicing your webinar. These are things that by testing them in advance, you can ease a lot of those nerves that you're gonna have. So this brings me back to mistake number 4, doing everything at the last minute. If you're writing your email sequence like literally as it's going out, you're bound to make typos, you're bound to have incorrect URLs. Guilty as charged, do that all the time. You're bound to have problems, but if you plan it in advance, you can test and put your mind at ease by making sure that everything is set up correctly. This is especially important if you're planning on launching during something like Mercury in retrograde, when tech issues are known to be abundant. Make sure that you are testing everything, have someone edit your emails, etc. So to any of you who are thinking about launching an online program for the first time, or for those of you who are like nodding your head like, yep, did all those things, because I did too, I hope that this video was helpful for you, made you feel better about what you've had happen to you in the past, and that it gives you some tips and actions that you can take to improve your launch strategy in the future. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me at rulebreakersclub.com, and I will see you next time.